Marcus Bell built his construction empire out of nothing but stubbornness and a strong back, rising from a 19-year-old day laborer to a man whose name sat on 11 office towers across Atlanta. But the night that truly changed his life had nothing to do with business, because driving home in a storm he spotted a small shape huddled under a shuttered laundromat awning, and when he stopped he found a 7-year-old girl soaked to the bone, clutching a torn backpack, who whispered only one word when he asked her name, Amara, and something in him refused to walk away. So despite skeptical social workers and a judge who bluntly questioned whether a busy single businessman understood what he was signing up for, Marcus adopted her, and everyone around him called it reckless. A man building an empire didn't have time to raise a broken child, but Marcus never saw her as a burden, he saw her as a promise, and he kept it through years of silence, flinches, and nightmares, sitting outside her door some nights just so she'd know she wasn't alone, learning to braid her hair from late-night tutorials, showing up to every school event no matter what he had to leave behind, and slowly the frightened little girl became a fearless teenager who told him one night on the porch that she wanted to become a lawyer, not for money, but to protect people the way he had once protected her, and Marcus poured everything into that dream, covering tuition, rehearsing mock trials with her. Despite barely understanding the terms, and watching with pride as she graduated at the top of her class and passed the bar on her first try, but just as Amara started her career, Marcus's empire came under attack from the one person he never expected, his longtime business partner Curtis Owens, a man who had been like family since the earliest days, who quietly forged financial documents and convinced the board Marcus had been mismanaging company funds, filing a lawsuit to strip him of his shares and control, and though the claims were false, the fabricated paperwork looked convincing enough that Marcus was told he could lose everything within weeks, his company, his legacy, all of it, and he said nothing to Amara, too proud to burden her, but she found out anyway when a colleague mentioned the lawsuit in passing, and the moment she saw Curtis Owens' name attached to the fraud, something in her ignited, because she remembered him as the man who used to sit at their dinner table, calling himself family, so she requested to take the case herself, spending 3 sleepless days tearing through records, hiring an independent forensic accountant, and uncovering proof the documents had been created and backdated only weeks earlier, and when the hearing arrived, Marcus expected to face it alone, but the courtroom doors opened and Amara walked in wearing a sharp navy suit, taking her place as his legal representation before he could even protest, and what followed was masterful. She dismantled Curtis's case piece by piece, exposing the forged metadata and cross-examining him until he cracked and confessed he had orchestrated the entire scheme out of jealousy and financial desperation, and within the hour the judge dismissed the fraudulent claims, restored Marcus's full control of his company, and ordered an investigation into Curtis for forgery, and as the gavel fell, Marcus looked at the daughter he had once wrapped in his jacket on a rainy street corner and saw not a child but a protector, someone whose life had been shaped by one act of love that had rippled forward into exactly the kind of person who could stand in a courtroom and hand that love back, and outside on the courthouse steps he told her that 17 years ago he thought he was the one saving her, but she had been saving him every day since, and Amara simply said that families aren't only the ones you're born into, sometimes they're the ones you choose in the middle of a storm, and as they walked down those steps together, the empire behind them stood intact, but everyone watching understood the real legacy had never been the buildings, it had always been the bond between a man who stopped for a stranger in the rain and the daughter who grew up to make sure that kindness was never forgotten.